Hello everybody, it's Paul Hogden here from SEO Underground, and I am joined today by James Gregory, our backlink god. Hey James.
Hello, thank you very much for having me on, and obviously thank you for obviously inviting me to speak,
Hey, no worries at all. I'm really excited about what knowledge bombs you've got to deliver
Yeah,
on the day, and also today when we're having a chat. So it's going to be good. Now, James, for those who don't know you,
yeah.
and there doesn't appear to be very many people who don't know you, perhaps you can just tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, a lot of people obviously know me from a lot of the Facebook groups and the LinkedIn groups, the proper SEO group, SEO Signals Lab. I've been producing content in those groups for like the past 6-7 years or so, as well
Right.
as doing SEO for the past 10 years. But I'd basically describe myself as a 28-year-old performance, white hat, grey hat, SEO business consultant. And I've obviously been doing this since 2012. And I built AgencyBacklinks, which is primarily a niche edit and guest post supplier for the past 3 years. But since kind of building that, and since kind of COVID, and obviously agencies wanting a really tailored solution, I've just kind of decided to flip AgencyBacklinks and integrate with like a bigger and more reliable in the sense of they have an established team. I can give them all my websites. Before I found trusted partners like Searcharoo, the company who were obviously merging with me, I was actually just building all these links myself. So that's where I got a lot of my experience. I've always been the guy who gets stuck in, builds a link himself, builds the PBN, scrapes for the domains. A lot of the guys from back in the day will obviously remember when I used to sell safe links, which obviously hacked Russian links, which I obviously don't use anymore.
No.
But obviously, in a previous life, these links were very strong. And in industries like gambling and finance, we're able to make quite a lot of money from these industries. And at the time, me as like a 23-year-old guy, traveling the world, it was pretty epic, But
So is that what attracted you to kind of the darker side of SEO? Was that the travel and the glamour?
Yeah, I think so. I think just being a young lad and just seeing all these people living this laptop lifestyle, and just to be honest, after finishing school, working and trading my time for for money, it didn't seem natural. For me, my metric is more how many people can I help in the day. How can I drive revenue? How can I actually show someone how to get from A to B, not how can I do this task, So obviously I quickly realized that my expertise was networking, building personal relationships with high-level business people, doing overall strategy, and doing really advanced, almost very high-level work as opposed to the day-to-day link building and agency management, And nowadays I'm spending all my time working on my own projects. We did obviously off the call. We did obviously talk about the 150 rank and rent sites that we have.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Which I'm more than happy to show. Obviously, at SEO Underground, I'm more than happy to go into case studies and actually show the link types that I'm using at scale. For 150 essentially spam sites that have millions of pages, but they're all getting 50 to 60 leads every single day.
Wow.
I will go on that a little bit in October, but pretty much everything that I do and everything I talk about and what I'm known for is actually being able to show the data and the websites and how you can just do it yourself. And, I've always had a very short attention span and always wanted to someone just to tell me how to do it, and I always was frustrated almost joining the SEO industry because it's just so snake oily, and obviously people are so secretive about their tactics, And the reason
did you find as well is that some of the tactics, when you dug, actually there were no tactics at all?
Yes, yeah. So that's
Me too.
it's one of those things where it's almost like people are just parroting things for the sake of just being aware or just having a presence in the industry.
Yeah.
Or even worse, they're doing these things in their own SOPs and don't even realize that it actually doesn't affect their rankings. There's a lot of people that don't even have that baseline fundamental understanding of what it is to actually rank a website, and that's where obviously guys that are going to be attending SEO Underground, that switch in your brain where you have that proof of concept and you see another human being actually fulfill and do something. You can literally turn up and see guys that are already doing it. And for me personally, I just needed that confidence, when I was starting out, to just someone to just straight up show me this is how you actually rank. You don't need to worry about 200 different ranking factors, TF, IDF, semantic SEO, BERT, and all these,
LSI.
Yeah, it's just like, you're almost making a conscious decision to make less money by investing time and effort and emotional energy into these techniques that actually don't work, when in reality there's probably only 14 out of the 200 factors that actually work, that you actually need to actually think about, which we abuse every single day. The best possible links, the best possible traffic, the best possible social, an omni-platform, omni-channel social experience where the whole brand perception and everything is just spot on and perfect. How can we do that? Just to go back to obviously, my day-to-day things, because a lot of people would kind of be wondering, what does this guy do day-to-day? And it's more my own websites, my own clients. I work with huge global fashion brands. One website actually sends me like free clothes and things, which is pretty weird because I wouldn't actually spend that much money on this stuff, but if they'll send it for free, it's one of the perks of having them as a client, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the odd person as well, like traditional PR agencies. So we've got one agency in Manchester, and they literally have like famous ballet people. They have all the soap stars. But then they have like biotech companies. We have companies that are bringing CBD to the UK market, but they wanted to bring us, Searcharoo, onto the board of their company that's bringing THC to the UK market.
Wow.
It's just mind blowing to think you can have a small client and they can just turn into these, mammoths and giants. And you know what? You actually help them get there.
Yeah.
And that really is what kind of attracts me to SEO, that you're just able to do so much for so many people.
Potential of growth, and that's what I think people kind of hook into, isn't it? Is the potential is huge.
Yes.
If you get it right, and if you get it right across, several platforms, and the right search terms, you can propel a business into the stratosphere.
Yeah, telephone numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like for some of our clients, they'll order like $10,000, sometimes even $50,000, just in one go for links for the month. And to some people, that's completely unheard of. But for us, being deep in the trenches with that many different websites and that many different link types, not only that, the strategies and the plans and just the plethora of like actual ranking data, on-page data, and what the correlations were, traffic increases that actually correlate to an increase in calls, increase in revenues. And it basically allows us to streamline the area of our clients' campaigns that actually matter, that drive revenue, that drive results.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That is amazing. So
it's just one of those things where I'm very excited to talk in October, purely because we're testing across so many industries and doubling down on the links and tools that actually work. Well, we want to show you guys how you guys can do that. We want you guys to partner with us and get that handled.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you've got the analytical information that gives you a better insight than many as to certain industries and ways that people work and kind of the human condition, that's exciting stuff. And a lot of businesses don't have that, and certainly don't have it at scale, which is why partnering up with like Searcharoo and stuff is gonna also make such a massive difference to those who are going to be working with you, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess it's one of those things where if the budget's there and you know exactly what you want, why wouldn't you? It's just simply a case of moving money. And a lot
Yeah.
of my really smarter clients, they realize that earlier on. They
Yeah.
realize earlier on, and they're completely taking the piss to the point where some people, we literally have built like every possible link that you can build, to the point where we're just going directly on the Sun now. We're going directly on the Guardian. We're going directly on Forbes. It's because we just running out of links, because we're just building so many.
So, what's the one thing that you would do if you could go back and tell yourself at the start of the career, at the start of your career? What would you say to yourself?
I would say to myself, don't worry about your hats, and don't worry about people that almost tell you that you can't rank fast. Because for me, I was very much a very spunky character out the gate, where I just wanted to rank everything, make loads of money, rank everything really fast. And it was almost like, hey, settle down a little bit. And it was good, but then it also kind of built this mentality of, I was always scared of getting unnatural, link penalties and things. Whereas now, I just kind of realized sites go viral all the time. Sites will get like 500 referring domains overnight, and they'll rank, and they'll be the best possible links. So why not simulate that viral effect with some really fucking good links, really good content, and experts that actually know what they're talking about, and that already have relationships with the with the authors of the websites. For me, like SEO is just like anything in life. It's simple. Find the person who's the best at it, get them to teach you, or better yet, pay them to teach you. I really wish I would have just reached out to people sooner that are a lot further ahead than me and offered to do joint ventures much sooner. When they've already got that proof of concept and they've already done the thing, it's so much easier to then, give them value and just partner up with them,
Yeah, absolutely. Be brave would be what you'd say.
Yeah, and I guess also, I would also say, like, one thing that one of my mentors said to me is literally 99% of society, they can't even predict a future self beyond 3 to 6 months. What behaviors do the best SEOs, digital marketers, successful high performance individuals in general exhibit that have just a long-term track record of success? And can you actually follow their progress for the last 6 to 12 months? And what are the daily appropriate habits and goals in alignment to what it is they're trying to achieve? Success leaves clues. Find the guys that have already done it. Find the trajectory. Find the processes. And all that's going to do is further solidify your sense of self-assurance and confidence of a proof of concept for that future self and that future person that you want to be. Whether it's the start of your SEO career or it's the further ahead, you can always find someone bigger and better who's doing a lot more, and who can just give you that advice to just streamline you, just the confidence, really. Like, I previously offered one-on-one consulting, and pretty much everybody on Skype, what they would want help with, it was just all mindset. It was all confidence stuff. It was just like me sending them a URL. Oh, go to Searcharoo, click on topical relevance link packages, order that. Go to the PR package, order that. And it's like, they'd pay me like £500 for half an hour to do that, and I'm baffled, really.
Yeah. But that is the whole thing, is that confidence is half of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that people say fake it till you make it and all that type of stuff, but actually having some confidence, having seen it work, it does do wonders, I think.
Yeah, and that's where there's that switch in that SEO's brain. As soon as you rank your first website, you'll never forget it. As soon as you get that number one ranking, and it goes for years. Like, for me, for my best friend's business to be on track to do 6 figures, from work that I've actually done, that's enough for me. That just shows.
So, James, what has been your biggest howler? What's what's something that's gone wrong, and what did you learn from it, and how did you do differently to make a better outcome?
Well, obviously, we spoke earlier about the whole restricting the link trajectory because of unnatural link penalties. and to be honest, I know it's not like a howl or a big mistake, but really, you know, the virality effect of like a perfectly executed campaign that drizzles in loads of social shares and business directly off the back of that, you know, that that for me is the correct way of doing it, you know. And I learned a valuable lesson by restricting my growth because I was just told to build links slowly and steady, not causing natural link penalties. And with time, I eventually learned, obviously, sites go viral. They get 500 referring domains, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And they're not scared, you know, my clients, they're not scared to scale, you know, they'll go from nothing to seven figures within 18 months, you know.
Wow.
And it just comes from experience and a proof of concept, you know.
Yeah.
And it just kind of brings me back to when I said about always, you know, always be testing, have test websites, test different link types that you know are very, link types that are very choice links that are positively reflect the brand.
Yes.
And for me, I think like in general, I learned that as long as you build really good links and you're able to back it up with some social chatter to justify why you even have those links, Google now knows the semantics and the entities behind who you actually are, you know. So they can make these connections and they can build your entity stack. And if it's obvious that the people who are linking to you are also interacting with you on socials, this is where, I don't know if you've listened to my previous podcast with Andrew Cove from M3 Agency, where I mentioned that I specifically hire people with marketing degrees, psychology degrees, people that have a very similar life trajectory, if you will, as the author of that website, you know. So my person in my office is going to have a very nice natural rapport with the graduate at that, you know, the graduate at that company. And I spoke about the search operator in URL, author / speech marks graduate. So you can literally put your niche and you can find graduates in your niche that have the same degree as your actual employees. But how is that not a very natural introduction, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
So that was my biggest lesson. You can literally go on social media, build relationships that justify those links, but build links that other SEOs simply don't have the talent to build, or the industry knowledge, or the insights, you know.
Or the networking skills.
Or the networking skills.
That I think is something that a lot of people don't have because they're trying to, you know, protect their empire and stuff like that. But I think
and obviously SEO can get quite lonely, you know, the mental health aspects about SEO. For me, I love being out and about. I love meeting new people. Some of my clients are absolute cartoon characters, multi-millionaires. I know some billionaires, and just to be around them and just to see how they kind of present themselves and operate in this world, you know, they're so deluded, and it's just so amazing to hang around with these people and just see how aggressive they are towards their business.
What are some of the resources that you have used or that you are using that you still use today, perhaps to help you along the way?
Well, I guess the groups really. For me, I want to know about what are the problems that all of my potential customers, clients, and what problems are we having in-house that other people are also having. So I'm always consuming the latest courses. We spend about £40,000 a year just on courses. So our memberships, masterminds, courses, whether it's going to Chiang Mai. We've been to Chiang Mai SEO conference pretty much 4 years in a row. And we do the mastermind there where it's if you earn over $25,000 a month revenue, you're allowed to go to this mastermind.
Right.
And then obviously all these guys there are just completely I felt like a complete newbie there the first time I went there. And then it's very interesting after a few years of surrounding yourself with these people and the little nuances and their thinking and how they approach their day. You know, you start to understand how these people operate, and it rubs off on you, you know. So definitely networking, meeting up with people, expanding your network, and getting out of the house, you know. for me, I live the life of, living in Thailand, having a harem of women and laptops and things. I just thought to myself, this isn't the life for me. I want to be, building my friends, my family, and my clients locally.
Yeah.
So getting out of the house, building your networking skills. If you're considering going to SEO Underground, just realize that the information there is going to be disproportionately, more valuable than the money that you're literally going to give to even watch us. And if you're feeling a bit shy, feeling a bit on the fence, just go. It will literally change your life. Just to be surrounded by people that just get it and who have already done it. That alone is just, it's worth the ticket price times 10, to be honest. Let alone the talks where I'm literally going to show people exactly what we're doing, what
the knowledge bombs. That's the icing on the cake, isn't it? But I think surrounding yourself by like-minded people, can't beat it.
And there's just a few things, a few little things that kind of make the difference. Like for us, we quantify the effects of how the link will actually affect the website, and we're able to provide realistic timeframes of how sites will rank by using techniques such as reverse engineering the who is date of the website's inception. So all the websites that rank in that SERP, when would they actually register, and how many links would you need to build based off the inception of the website, and obviously all the links that they currently have, let's say over DR10 or DR20, how many of those links have been built since the inception of the website? And you can correlate that and actually stimulate a natural ranking graph and provide your clients with, this is what you need to catch up, but this is what you need to not only catch up, but exceed them. And for me, that's the difference between convincing someone to spend $5,000 on links and $50,000 on links, being able to quantify based off actual ranking data and actual who is data of how long that website's actually been sitting in that SERP, and how it got there. You can literally look at the dates of which links were built at which time and just do the same thing, but do it faster and better.
So who are you listening to at the moment? Who's sort of influencing your thoughts at the moment? As far as podcasts, videos.
Well, obviously, when I got started out, it was the Beginner's Guide to SEO by Moz. I love the Advanced Link Building Guide by Neil Patel, and it's so funny because when I tell SEOs this, they're like, "Oh my God, Neil Patel!" But then they kind of got into the game a bit late, not realizing that obviously Neil outsources all his content now. But back in the day, he was a monster, All the stuff with Zenu, expired domains, VPNs, resource link building, all of that is still so current, what people are making blog posts on now, but we'd already had perfect guides for this back in the day, So obviously just completely digest the Moz guide if you're a beginner, move on to the Neil Patel stuff, and then eventually join the groups. And you need to be subscribed to the guys like Charles Float. I've got quite a lot of webinars with him, Matt Diggerty, follow guys like obviously Craig Campbell, James Dooley, Carl Hudson. Carl Hudson, one of our partners at Searcharoo, has actually exited from his gambling ventures, and the type of money that's flying around in these ventures, it baffles me. It completely, Sometimes you think you're doing a little bit well, and then you see what these guys are doing. You're like, oh, okay, no, that's.
I'm nothing. I haven't even started.
Exactly. Like, to be honest, I feel like I haven't even started yet. I honestly do. And we're processing over £250,000 in links every single month.
Wow.
And I honestly feel like we're not even scraping the sides, to be honest. Like, I literally want 250 people with the best fucking degrees, with the best industry knowledge, and I just want to build up their LinkedIns, and I want them to be the industry influencers where other agencies are reaching out to us to get placed on these websites. That's my vision for Searcharoo, and obviously the brand building and SEO stuff that we do.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's excellent. So what's one of the biggest black hat myths that you would like to dispel, that you'd like to go to debunk and go, nah, that's nonsense?
Well, I'd say the large corporate SEO groups or the agencies, they'll reach out to me on LinkedIn DMs and they'll say things like, oh, links don't work anymore. You need to be doing really high quality content or semantic or social and things. And no, we literally have so many links being built every single month, so many correlations to ranking increases based off the 14 things that we actively do to every single website. We know that links are the number one ranking factor, and they will always be number one ranking factor. And it's more the fact that you don't have a trusted link vendor. You're not getting the best links possible. Trusted partners like Searcharoo, you're not going to. They have a one link type called topical relevancy, I believe, where they actually show you the websites before you actually get the link placed. And for me, it's huge, because when I was selling them prior, it was almost like a take it. These are your links, and
take it or leave it.
Yeah, and to be able to offer that tailored service with a much bigger database than I had prior, it's just it's fantastic, really. But working directly with a company like Searcharoo, we literally have like 4 guys full time just on the Ahrefs top 10 million domains. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be watching this saying you can't export the top million from Ahrefs. Well, if you use tools like Zoomeye, you literally have the subnet of every single IP address on this planet, including webcams, printers, and you can literally view beyond the internet layer every single website. Like, we're literally databasing the top 10 billion websites, and then we're blocking the ones that obviously block Ahrefs. So we don't reach out to those because they're going to block Ahrefs. We want to screen those and make sure that they're not private blog networks. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we're doing that a lot of other vendors aren't doing, just because we have to stay on top of this. We have the biggest guys in CBD. We have the biggest guys in gambling. We have the biggest guys in crypto. We have the biggest guys in merger and acquisitions. They honestly can't afford, for us to not meet these link trajectory values. We would actually be doing them a disservice, and we would actually be de-ranking them if we're not hitting these link targets, purely because these industries are so competitive that these are the links that are required to be built every single day. So that is one of those biggest SEO myths. It's not that links don't work. It's just that the links that you are buying don't and will never work. And worse, they could actually be hurting your website. It's easy to just use someone trusted and use the same man hours into producing better content and streamlining other processes of the business to accommodate all that projected growth.
Yeah.
You can build other aspects of the business where you can quantify that growth, have a trusted partner doing all the outsourced link building on-page work, and you can focus on obviously growing the business.
Yeah, on the commercial aspects.
Yeah,
I think so. What are the hot subjects in SEO at the moment that you think need tackling?
I think 301 redirects have always been a very, in terms of obviously for Black Hat, obviously, being able to just acquire a domain that already has all the choice backlinks. Say, for example, you have a domain that has like $5,000 of link value on it, but you're able to pick that up for $200. You can simply redirect that directly to your website and obviously absorb all that link juice.
Yeah.
But for us, we kind of take it a little bit deeper. And obviously, when sites get penalized and things, we then do double 301 redirects to get them out of penalties. And then
I like it.
It's just obviously, it's such a hot subject because you literally are acquiring links that have actually been sat in the Google index. Like, people know that Google is a text indexing platform. So if your backlink for that ranking phrase has already been sitting in Google for years, and then you acquire that domain and then you redirect it, if you then take it a step further and restore that original domain you purchased, build it back to how it was, re-rank it for its old phrase, build some more links on top of that with your new target phrases, change the content to then rank to the new phrase, but then 301 it to your site, the results are way better, because you're in the text index engine. You're already in there, and the links you've acquired have been there for years, longer than the inception of your website. So if you can actually almost trick Google into believing that you've came back, rank for the old phrase, and then just point all the juice over to your target website, and I will actually show some actual examples of that In
That sounds
gambling.
cool. I like the sound of that. That is an interesting concept. I like it.
But
I've
yeah,
heard it before, but I haven't heard it explained that way. So
yeah. Well, there's just some things that you kind of do just to keep it hygienic in the sense of no, Google, this is a real domain that we owned. We're reclaiming it. Oh no, we're just changing our mind. We're going back to this. You know what I mean? Like you've got
yeah,
to almost play with Google and kind of give Google what it wants. Where these
yeah,
very basic filters that it will turn on to filter out the SEOs, are just easy to bypass. So
wow,
yeah, but that's mainly for the more hardcore things. But I think for a small business or an agency, a decent guide or a video on just proper site structure using real world business examples and not blank WordPress blogs. So the thing
yeah,
that really annoyed me starting out was all these examples on how to do SEO for your website and how to rank your websites would always be blank WordPress themes, all these like really thin websites where no, I want to see a real business and how they've done it and how they've laid it out.
yes,
Does a real business even need to use Turf for SEO, for example? I want to be asking those questions.
yeah,
And obviously
yeah,
for us, that's just part of our SOPs anyway. But yeah, a decent video where a beginner can actually see a real world example of how they've laid the site out, and on the back of that, how they do the link building. That's what needs tackling.
yeah.
Which, funny enough, I'll be showing in great detail at SEO Underground, but unfortunately, it's not going to be the very basic business niches. It's going to be some really hardcore stuff.
Excellent. I love the sound of that. So, leading on from that,
Yeah.
my final question to you: can you give us a little bit of a hint as to what sorts of things you're going to be talking about at SEO Underground?
Ooh, I'm not sure if I can spill all the beans in terms of
Just
revealing
headlines.
obviously the guys that have to not disrespect the guys that have obviously paid the hard-earned money to be there. I just want to be honest and say, look, I'm going to give all the attendees underground knowledge behind the curtain, showing you real world, no fluff, no bullshit, exactly what goes on behind building a powerhouse 7-figure website from scratch. The link types we use, the link velocity, how many links do we use? We spoke prior about obviously the who is date and visualizing the link trajectory and how you could stimulate that natural effect and then go slightly more aggressive. And how and when we leverage social traffic and shares, and where we acquire thematically relevant, powerful expired domains to obviously do those 301 redirects. But I'll be honest, there is things that we do that guys just aren't doing. We actually have persona networks on social media that have group membership access, where we'll go into a group as our persona and we'll ask for feedback on our websites, right? And we'll ask them very specific things, for example, to look at the footer of the website or to look at the social buttons, where we get the person to go on and increase the dwell time. So we can almost hack the on-page metrics by going into industry-relevant groups with people who are actually trying to rank in the same search as us and get them to give us the signals that Google wants, so that we are the website, by simply asking them to go on the website and give us feedback. But just imagine that across 70 groups and 70 Facebook profiles, and you start to get an idea of how you can manipulate other factors to get your desired result. And I think that's where people will kind of, take a step back and they'll be like, oh, okay, no, this is how you actually rank, Now I'm just going to open up the blueprint now. I'm going to open up the blueprint behind how we basically just buy existing affiliate websites and grow them, usually beyond 50, 60, 70% within 6 weeks, doing 4 very specific things, just 4 things.
Wow.
Because what we want to do, we want to minimize the costs and spend that money in acquiring more of these websites. So how can we rank them as cheap as possible, leveraging all those social networks, all those industry expert connections for obviously the editorial and the bigger links, and obviously just rank the cheapest way possible, the quickest way possible, and then just go flip the website for 70-80% more than we acquired it for,
Wow.
with very minimal link costs, because we just already have the resources here, because we're literally building beyond £250,000 a month of links,
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we use them for ourselves? Why wouldn't we go on the website and do even better content than what they're posting?
Why not indeed? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a real fun-packed half an hour, 45 minutes when you step up, James. So we're really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be completely flat out, you know. Like when Google introduced the bidirectional encoder representations, all the transformers and things, you know, as SEO calls it, BERT, we just use open source neural network based techniques
Right.
for NLPs in the sense of we just got software engineers to look at the transformer model and obviously tweak our SOPs, allowing us to pretty much amplify our rankings by just giving the algorithm exactly what it wants. Now, I won't go into complete detail in terms of tools used and stuff, but we've basically made it a very scalable process where we can launch a gambling website with 500 pages that completely optimized with a very clear content strategy to then obviously coincide that with 500 referring domains, you know. So to be honest, for the price of the ticket alone, just from the sheer volume of real actionable data and obviously, you know, geeking out, like for me, I get bored really easy. Like I only care about real results and being able to replicate things. Like it's not going to be a boring talk. I can assure you that, you know, it's going to be non-stop data and over the shoulder look at what the real SEO driven are doing right now. You know, the guys in the groups that are, you know, doing multiple six figures monthly, you know, exactly what are they doing, you know?
Excellent. Well, that sounds absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
James, I want to thank you very much for coming on to our little informal chat.
I can't thank you enough for inviting me. It's been a pleasure just to you know, just throw some ideas around, share some courses and things, share some techniques, and I'm really excited. You know, I'm really excited to meet with the guys. I'm really excited to get on stage. And yeah, thank you very much.
Excellent. Well, as we said, SEO Underground, 14th of October 2021 at the Millennium Grandstand in Newmarket. James is going to be there. We've got a whole host of other A-class SEO black hatters and industry leaders who are going to be sharing their thoughts. We can't wait to see you. James, thank you very much. This is Paul Hogden from SEO Underground, signing off.
Thank you. See you later, guys. See you on